Hello again. I labeled this video so you got the interview, so that's great news. And the really great news is that your resume accomplished its primary purpose. So now you're concerned about what you should do to prepare for the interview. And I really have 3 recommendations on what to do to prepare for the interview. And the first one is to review your resume. And I say this because the resume is really the only thing that this prospective employer really knows about you. And to be honest with you, it could have been weeks or maybe months or hopefully not a year, but it could have been a year since you wrote that resume. And most interviews are going to start with questions about what you wrote in your resume. And one of the worst things you can do on an interview is I ask you a question about something that's written in your resume and you look like you don't know what you did in that company. So review the resume, and certainly if you have bullets in your resume, be able to explain each one of those bullets and what you did. And the second thing is do some basic research on the company. Know what the company does, know how many employees it has. If you're in finance or accounting or sales, certainly look at what their sales are doing over the past few years so that you can ask some questions on that, or know a little bit about what the company, is it growing, is it expanding into different areas, so that you can ask some questions during the interview on that. And the last one goes right into that, and that is to prepare some questions. Certainly you want to ask questions throughout the interview. I would highly recommend you save a couple questions for the very end. Generally, interviews, no matter how short or long, will end with, so what questions do you have? And one of the worst things you can do is say, oh, well, I don't really have any questions, I think you answered everything. Because I know as the interviewer, I didn't answer everything. And you seem like you don't either want the job or are really all that interested in the job if you don't have any questions. So work up some questions. You should definitely prepare more than a couple questions to bring into you in the interview, because another thing you don't want to do is, if I did cover something, you don't want to ask a question on that, because then I think you didn't pay attention when I was saying something, and I don't want to hire somebody who's not going to pay attention to me. So certainly prepare 5 or 6 questions. Some of them will be answered during the interview. Some of them you may ask during the interview, but certainly hold a couple back to ask. Probably 2 questions is fine. You can even ask the interviewer something personal about what they like working there, how they have progressed through the company, what skills do they see as important in both the company and the job that you're looking for. For higher level positions, maybe you want to ask about the overall strategy, and is that strategy changing for the company. But definitely have some questions to ask so that you look interested in the job. So basically the 3 things: review your resume and know what's on it and be able to answer questions about that. Do some basic research on the company, employees, how many employees, where they're located, things like that. And that can actually lead to some of the questions you might want to ask at the end, as far as, hey, I know that the company has offices all over the world, all over the United States, the Southeast, whatever. Do you routinely move people, or things like that, which could be important to you. And lastly, have some questions at the very end of the interview.